OK, let's get analysis of this story now from Omar Baddar, who joins me from Washington. He's a member of the Arab American Institute's National Policy Council. Appreciate you taking the time, sir. The fact that we've gone so long without there being a deal made, the two sides just couldn't come to agreement on some key issues. Does that suggest now that we're seeing some concessions made from one side? I mean, presumably it's Israel that's making concessions?
I think that's precisely it, because there has been the basic parameters of a deal have been fairly understood for a very long time. And the primary obstacle has been the fact that Netanyahu has made clear that he has no intention of ending the genocide in Gaza, even when the hostages are released. And that has basically prevented a deal from being struck. And Netanyahu has opted for a policy of, to use his own words, thinning the population of Gaza down to a minimum, continuing with the death and destruction in Gaza for as long as he possibly could. And what seems to have been different right now is the fact that the Trump administration, Donald Trump himself, issuing all these warnings about all hell breaking loose, and some reporting now indicating that he's told Netanyahu that not reaching a deal would also be bad for Israel, seems to be where the pressure is coming in, which might potentially have Israel finally agree to end the onslaught in Gaza and get a resolution to this crisis in the immediate. But there's no telling where that takes us, basically, as far as the day after is concerned. But that has always been the crux of the issue, whether Israel is going to end that genocide. And it remains to be seen whether they actually will put a meaningful end to it, and which could then begin moving us towards the next phase of this issue.
As you mentioned, Benjamin Netanyahu's been reticent to agree to any kind of permanent ceasefire. If this is a phased deal, which is how it's being described, with multiple stages, do you think there's a danger that either side might just pull out at some point once they feel they already have what they want?
That is certainly a possibility, and we know from a very long history that Israel has never really stuck to any long-term ceasefire agreement. People talk about October 6th, the day before October 7th, as somehow being a day in which there was a ceasefire. That is complete and total nonsense. There's been continuous Israeli bombardment in Gaza at a very low, slow pace, if you can describe it as that, in which just a few days before October 7th, there was an Israeli bombing in Gaza that had killed multiple Palestinians. So we're not going to see a complete resolution for this issue until there's a fundamental change in the way that Israel treats Palestinians, which is to say that they have to recognize Palestinians as equal human beings who are deserving of the same dignity and respect and freedom that Israelis enjoy. That does not seem to be on the table. What we're looking at right now is that simply an end to the large-scale slaughter that is taking place in Gaza. But that does not mean that Gaza is going to be free. It's going to continue being under an Israeli blockade. And that is simply a recipe for conflict to just simply be pushed a little bit farther ahead. We desperately need that ceasefire right now just to put an end to the immediate suffering of the people of Gaza. But in order to resolve this issue in the long term, you need a fundamental change in Israeli policy. And that is going to require a change in the American posture, which is to say that the U.S. cannot keep affording Israel unlimited diplomatic protection and military funding unless, without conditioning it on Israel changing the way it treats Palestinians and preventing them from being a free people.
And Omar, just a very quick question. We're slightly out of time now, but do you think that Donald Trump or Joe Biden, if this deal goes through, is going to take the credit?
I'm sure they would both like to, but there's no denying the fact that Joe Biden's legacy has been spending 15 months arming and funding this genocide while paying lip service to the idea that he supports a ceasefire, intervening at the UN to block it repeatedly, using the US veto to do so. So I think that certainly Joe Biden would have absolutely no credibility trying to take credit for this. And with Trump, while it may be true that he played some role in applying that pressure, it really, his legacy from his first administration and what we can expect from him moving forward may really fall short of anybody being able to praise what he's doing in light of the fact that he has also denied the fundamental humanity of Palestinians and given Israel a free rein to behave however it wants in the past, including annexation and occupation permanently of Palestinian areas.
Omar, appreciate your time. Omar Baddar is my guest, member of the Arab American Institute's National Policy Council. Thank you.
Thank you.